What's up, you guys? Slim here at SlimXTeamSymmetry, here to bring you guys something I know you guys have been waiting for a while. Yes, we are actually doing the good, the bad, and the Yu-Gi-Oh! On Gladiator Beast. You guys may wonder, why are we doing the video so quickly? I had mentioned to you guys in my last video on Heroes that it would be a while. However, thanks to a really good friend and subscriber, his name is Matt. Shout out to you, bro. He sent me a template to use for Gladiator Beast, and I really appreciate it. And because of that, I'm able to do the video for you guys. I wanted to surprise you guys with it. I just hope you really enjoy this video. It's been a while since I ran GBs. The last time I ran GBs was back before Nationals, where Tech Genis won. I ran them for fun. I really enjoyed the deck. I felt the inclusion of cards like Forbidden Lance really made the deck broken. And even now, as crazy as the format is with Atlanteans and Rabbit and Wind Up everywhere, I feel the deck still has potential. I'm going to get into the reasons why. So we'll start with what's good about the deck. And I'd say the number one thing I love about Gladiator Beast and always will is that they are one of the most versatile toolboxes in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! What I mean by that is that every monster in the Gladiator Beast archetype serves a purpose. It serves a purpose of getting rid of problem cards on the field. And the way it does that is it not only handles the field, it handles the graveyard, and it handles any situation that you could possibly need. And what I mean by that is that Bestiari being the best card, obviously, because it helps make your guys Xeris, which is amazing, being able to pop 2 cards. Bestiari is good because Bestiari is an MST, plus it sets up for that combo. That's really good. Having an MST in a monster form is always great. Darius is your Call of the Haunted / Monsterborn / Premature Burial, if you guys remember Premature Burial. The ability to bring back another GB, even though its effects are negated, is really good, because these days you could just contact into Esadari, and you have a 2500 beater on the field. That's really, really good. Not only that, but 1700 is not a bad base attack. It can also combo with Horn of the Phantom Beast, which is another card you can include in the deck depending on your preference. So I feel that that was just a really solid monster in itself. When Gladiator Beast: The Quest came out, it added a lot of power and consistency to the deck, in the fact that you could recycle your ace card, which is Gladiator Beast War Chariot. War Chariot was broken for the fact that it was the nuts back then. The ability to negate an opponent's monster effect was just so good, like so good. And even now, I feel that it would be really good. It'd be really good against decks like Rabbit, decks that rely on effects. You kill a tour guide with it, you do a lot of combos with it. You can Chariot a Sangan, Chariot pretty much everything, Chariot the Atlanteans effects, Chariot just like pretty much anything, and I think that's what made the deck really good. Aside from that, cards like Hiplomus were your defenders, 2100 defense, 2400 when it tags in. Made it a really good defender to help you bide time if your hand was not ideal. So it served a lot of purposes. Laquari was your main card, though, was your go-to card, the card you usually wanted to start with. 1800 base attack was always good in that format, and the fact that it would go to 2100 when it came out was really good. You get around cards like Thunder Kings and just big monsters back then, which were 1900s, 1800s. So it really did have a lot of power and was like your big beat stick monster of the deck. And then my favorite GB was actually Mermilo, because not only because it was blue, but for the fact that it was a monster popper. The ability to pop single monsters back a couple formats ago was just amazing. Being able to tag in for this little guy, pop a monster, attack freely, tag out. That was usually the game. You played the Mermilo game, where you would pop their monster, attack for a minimal 800, bounce back, tag in, and tag in a new GB. So I feel that added a lot of power to the deck. And then when Retiari was added, Retiari added something very special to the deck for the fact that it could remove problem cards from the graveyard. And the ability to manipulate your opponent's graveyard was great, especially against decks like Plants and decks that relied heavily on the graveyards. I feel that Retiari added a lot of power, and it added a new, I guess, like aspect to the deck that you didn't have before. You didn't have the ability of hitting the graveyard until Retiari came out, so I feel that that was really crucial for the deck's success. And, a lot of other variants will include cards like Gores and Thunder King. It's just all player preference. Thunder King's always just good in every format. And Gores, you would think, you run so many back rows, why would you ever run Gores? The reason you run Gores is for the fact that you sometimes just don't have those ideal hands. Sometimes you'll open a hand all of monsters, even though it's like highly unlikely. You'd open back rows that you activate, and then you're left with nothing, and then Gores is your only out. And Gores is a game changing card, and it's one of the best cards in the game, so I feel that to include it is actually a very smart move. That's what's good about the monsters. What's good about the spells and traps is that you have very defensive spells. Book of Moon, Forbidden Lances, were just broken. Lance, before Dino Rabbit, before Inzectors, before Wind Up ever existed, This card was used solely for GBs to help them get their attacks through, even though they lose 800 attack. The fact that they could get through and deal damage was really good, and that would make it so they could tag out and tag in freely. So I feel that Lance was broken. What the deck still is, you have to run 3. Like, it's one of the decks like Dino Rabbit where you usually run 2 to 3. This deck you have to run 3. So I feel that added a lot of defensive power to the deck. When Proving Ground came out, it was really important because one thing I noticed with GBs is that they suffer from a low monster count, and when I mean low monster count, I mean the Gladiator beasts themselves. You only run about 10 to 12 GBs, so you needed a way to get to them faster, and Proving Ground did just that. The ability to run 3 Rotas for any deck is really good, so I think that added a lot of consistency to the deck. Of course, it runs the staples. I don't even have to get into those. And then the last thing that makes GBs broken is that they run a ridiculous amount of back row. Cards like Compulse, cards like Deprison, cards like Warning, Torrential, they're all staples. This deck can run multiple Starlight Roads and get away with it because you're always setting multiple back rows. You sometimes will always have 1 or 2 monsters on the field to contact. Your opponent goes Torrential, you flip Starlight Road, it's a blowout. And I think one of my favorite trap cards in all of Gladiator Beast was Waboku, because Waboku was the perfect card for Gladiator Beast. It would make it so they attack, okay, I take no damage, my monster isn't destroyed, but it was attacked, so I'm going to tag out, tag in, and it was just busted. It was like a free summon, basically. It was another way of special summoning your GBs freely. So I feel that Waboku added a lot of power to the deck. So that's what I feel is good about it. Had a very solid toolbox, still does, always will, and it has the ability to just go against any problem that the format may present to it, whether it be on the field, in the graveyard, etc. You're able to get around it with these cards. Now, the other 2 cards I'm going to talk about real quick are Test Tiger and Elemental Hero Prisma. For people who remember that format where you ran Prisma Glads, these 2 cards are really great. You guys already know Prisma you'd reveal Geyseris, Dump Bestiari, Tiger, Darius, and then you go into your turn 1 Geyseris. That added a lot of power to the deck. It just depends on what variant of the deck you like to run. You can run it with Hero Lives, whatever you feel like. I feel that made the deck very, very powerful. So that's what's good about the deck. Now, what's bad about the deck? What's bad about the deck? There's a couple things bad about Gladiator Beast. I'd say there's only 3 things. The first one is that it suffers from the ability of, like I said, having low monster count, and sometimes you don't draw a Proving Ground. So you can open a lot of back row. That's cool, but if you don't have a road or something to stop a heavy or multiple MSTs, you can be in a really awkward position because not being able to bring a monster to the board, eventually you will run out of back row, and then by the time you summon your monsters, your opponent's already gained a lot of advantage. So I'd say that's one problem, low monster count. Second thing would be inconsistent hands where you can draw, like I said, no monsters. You already have dead chariots from the get-go. That could be another thing. And, like the monsters are not that strong. Like I said, outside of Laquari being 1800 attack, the rest of the main Gladiator Beast monsters, which are the main ones you want to attack with, have a very hard time against heavy monsters, like even against Dino Rabbit, since they run 1900 Sabersaurs, 1700 Cabazols. It's very hard to get around those cards, especially if you don't have Lance or a way around them. So I feel that that's where GBs could have a problem. And I'd say the last thing is that this format is so fast, and decks like Water are dominating because they gain a lot of advantage. They gain a +2 off Undying turn 1. I feel like GBs could just not keep up. However, I feel like I've said before in all my other videos, I feel any deck has potential this format. It just depends on how it's built, who pilots it, the matches they play, and did they build the right main deck and side deck for the event. So I feel that that's what's good and that's what's bad about GBs in a nutshell. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it because Gladiator Beasts are self-explanatory, and you know what's good and you know what's bad. Like a lot of GB players who know a lot more than I do will agree with that's what's good and that's what's bad. Sometimes you get those bad hands, sometimes you get those godly hands. And it just depends on, do you have the luck? Did you build the deck right? Can you get out of inconsistent hands? And can you plus off your opponent's misplays? Other things I would say they're really good about the deck. I'm only going to cover cards like Dimensional Fissure. Dimensional Fissure works really well in this deck. Since your GBs go back to the deck, you can get around cards like that. You can really shut down Atlanteans with this card. So I feel that if you're going to run GBs, you have to side at least 2 to 3 of these. It really helps against that matchup. King Tiger Wang, who's good against windups and other decks like that. And, the rest of the side deck is self-explanatory. It's just standard stuff you side in for every match. But I feel that this deck still has potential. Now, the Yu-Gi-Oh part of this would be that cards like Heraclinos and cards like Geyseris are the nuts. They are busted. Geyseris pops 2 cards. Heraclinos locks down spells and traps. You can't ask for better monsters than that. Thing is, they do require several monsters to get to, but if you do have the protection like you do in a deck like this, you will make these monsters and you will be successful making them. I feel that that's what gives GBs the chance. I feel GBs should not be ruled out. I've always said, like, when it happened in YCS Tacoma, when Mike Stimmons went with Inzectors, if you're not prepared for the deck's going to take you by surprise and beat you because your main deck and side deck are not ready to combat this deck. I feel that that's what gives GBs their power. But let me know what you guys think below. I really wanted to just give my opinions on GBs. I don't have as many as I would for other decks since I haven't ran the deck in a while, but I want to leave that open to you. I want the comments below to be all on GBs. I would like to learn from you guys about GBs since I haven't ran them in so long. Do you like the deck? Do you not like the deck? Do you think the deck has potential? Do you think stuff coming out in the new set will help GBs be good again? Do you think that it'll take a while for GBs to be on top again? Do you think that the deck will always be a rogue deck, a lower tier deck, but a deck that can be played nonetheless? I would just love to hear you guys' feedback. It really mean a lot to me. Just comment in the comment section below. And also, I'm going to have a link down below. Ultra Reality Games is having their last round for, I guess, the best YuGi-Tube related channel of the year. Myself, Vexcus4666, Asian Eyes White Dragon, Mickey Vlogs, Mega Capital G, and a bunch of other channels are in there. If you guys want to follow the link below and, vote for one of us for who you think was the YouTube channel of the year, I'd really appreciate it. I'm not asking you guys to vote for me unless you want to. If you feel I worked the hardest this year, I think I did a pretty good job. I've learned from a lot of other channels. I would feel that other channels are more deserving, but I would still think that I did a pretty good job this year being one of the newcomers. I feel I've accomplished quite a lot. We're almost closing in on 9,400 subscribers. So I feel that we've done quite a bit in this last year and a couple months. So, if you feel I did the best, if you feel that I'm the one that deserves to be the YuGi-Tuber of the year, feel free to vote for me. If not, please vote for someone that you feel is deserving. I feel everyone up there is already a winner. We've worked really hard this past year, and we couldn't have done it with all you guys. So anyways, there'll be an annotation to that and up here. Just go and vote. It really mean a lot to Ultra Reality Games and to myself that you did this. So anyways, comment below with your thoughts on GBs. 150, 200 plus likes for the next video. I'm really happy I could bring this to you guys finally. And once again, shout out to my friend Matt for hooking me up with this template. And just let me know all your thoughts below, and I will definitely read them and learn a lot more about GBs with you. So that's all I got to say, you guys. Thank you for watching.